So, as you may have seen on this channel already, there's a certain game from a certain franchise that I like a lot. And you would think that with 10 being one of my all-time favourite games, that I would be a die-hard Final Fantasy fan who has played them all and loves them all. And I am a fan for sure. But truthfully, I feel like I've only ever dipped my toe into the franchise. I know the golden era of Final Fantasy, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Everything before or after I've either not played or just not liked, but there was one other Final Fantasy game that I vaguely remember playing. And lately, it has quite a lot of buzz surrounding it. Not just because of its remaster, but because it is being claimed to have one of the best stories in the Final Fantasy franchise. So I was more than excited to check it out. Now, like with all my other first impression videos, this isn't going to be a full review of the game, only the prologue. Now unfortunately with this title though, the prologue only seemed to consist of the very first fight, and that's it. So this first impressions is going to be a little bit longer than usual, and I'm going to have to cover a little bit more of the game than I usually do. So if you don't want any of chapter 1 spoiled for you, I am still going to be covering story beats, gameplay and mechanic. So now's your chance to like, subscribe and to come back later. You have been warned. For everybody else, join me today as I dive into the remastered Final Fantasy Tactics to give my first impressions. So with it being a remaster, what are we actually getting new here? Well, for starters, voice acting. And my god, I will get into this later, but right off the bat, I cannot praise the voice talents enough in this title. A new age modern sensibility that we all now seem to possess is being able to resonate with a scene more with the simple addition of voice acting. Now, as much as I love 7 and other RPG titles around that era, it was a lot of reading. And you know what? I'll admit it, call me lazy all you want, but sometimes I just want to sit back and let a scene play out with some fine voice acting to go along with it. And spoiler, this game has that in droves. Other than that, the game also boasts that it has plenty of quality of life additions along with the typical HD touch-ups. Now I vaguely remember playing this when I was younger, so I would not be able to tell you the updated quality of life changes here. What I can say though, is that those touch-ups to how the game looks are stunning. I love it when a game has its own unique art style and look, so I am happy to see that not much was lost in the upgrade. The character design and general look of the game is still very much here. Our game starts out with a bit of narration, briefly covering the devastating war named the War of the Lions, before giving us more beautiful visuals, leading us nicely into our opening.
Still in here, are you? It's been the better part of an hour.
Gafgarian, you forget yourself, sir. You are in the presence of the princess.
Mayhap bowed heads would less offend. But you would do well to waste less time on idle pleasantries.
God, I just love this. You'll pick up fairly quickly that the tone can feel very Game of Thrones-like, and I just love that. I am a sucker for any media that can bring back lines like, "You forget yourself, sir," or "Hold your tongue, knave." They're just fantastic phrases that we should never have parted with. Anyway, we, a bunch of sellswords, have been sworn to add a little extra protection to guard Princess Ophelia here, but it isn't long before our enemy is upon us.
They bear the crest of the Black Lion. Duke Goltana must be mad.
You there, wench! It is useless to resist.
See? Told you there's some banging old timelines here. This brings us into our first fight, and I'll be briefly touching upon it for now whilst I cover the basics. Each of the characters can take their turn in moving around the field and laying down or preparing their attacks or spells. The strategy comes from range, movement and terrain, so each fight needs careful planning and consideration. This slows down the pace, but also makes every fight very engaging, potentially even more so than a typical RPG. Now, don't get me wrong, this can come with its own setbacks and frustrations, but again, we will get to that. Right now though, we come to the realisation that these chumps that we are fighting might just be a distraction.
A bitter defeat.
Unhand me!
No! Lady Ophelia!
This way. Hurry up. And try making a little less noise.
I'll not take orders from you!
You've quite a mouth on you, princess. I think not. If you feel wronged, blame yourself or the father.
This cannot be.
Delita. He lives. But why does he serve under the banner of Duke Goltana? I do not understand.
And that is where our prologue ends. Yeah, told you it was a short one. And in fairness, if that intro sequence, stellar voice work, killer lines, a quick fight, and the unknown past of a mysteriously resurrected Delita and disgraced former Knight Ramza has been enough to pique your interest, then all power to you. But I know for some of you out there, you just need a little bit more. So let's flash back to a year before the War of the Lions broke out, to a fledgling Ramza and his childhood best friend Delita. And things are not looking good for the land. Off the back of that 50-year war, times are tougher than ever for the people of Ivalice. This has led to a lot of struggling people resorting to petty crimes and turncoats, and a movement of enough disgruntled people who grew tired of the crown, tired of struggling, and who now quietly begin to grow bigger and bigger. They are called the Corpse Brigade, which, damn, if I was working PR for them, I would be changing that name day one, but I digress. We, as fledglings, are ordered to move in on a small brigade of these rebels to wipe them out. So let's get into combat again now we have control of the majority of our squad. We've covered the very basics, and not much of that has changed with control over more characters. What does change, however, are our job varieties. In this first fight, we only really have access to squires mostly, and the odd chemist here and there, who specialise in using items. But you can quickly start getting access to more and more jobs, whether it be white mages, knights, summoners, thieves. There's a lot of variety here, and each requires some level of engagement if you want to unlock the rest. So it really does reward mixing your team compositions up and playing around with a variety of job roles, which I really enjoyed. A small detail that I do enjoy during the fights also are these brief interludes that can happen where characters can stop and talk to one another.
Careful, Ramza. Remember, the well-aimed thrust pierces the mail.
Don't patronize me, Delita. We Beowulfs know our way around the battlefield.
Beowulf, was it? Heir to the noble house, Beowulf, I'd wager. Looks like we have ourselves some apprentices from the academy. Well, highborn moppets are still moppets.
It just adds more to each fight in my opinion. Now these random nobodies are aware of our house name, so feel like they really want to take us out now. It adds just a small extra layer of depth to these fodder enemies. Now I'm not going to be all praise here though. I do have my complaints. Mainly the camera, or should I say the terrain in the camera. We do have slight control over it. We can hold a button to view the battleground from a bird's eye view, we can slightly zoom in and out, and we can rotate the camera 90 degrees at a time. But it just always seems to feel like no matter the change in the angle, a bit of the terrain was always in my way. I played most of my turns from a bird's eye point of view just to ensure that the tile I was moving to was correct, or the target that I was trying to hit was the right one due to this. We are introduced next to the rest of Ramza's family, his two older brothers, Dystarg and Zalbog, and his sister Alma, and his dying father, who we find at the very end of his life.
Lord Father!
You forget yourself, Ramza.
You have come. Good. Let me look upon your face once more.
Now there's a line here that I like regarding Delita.
Your friend, Delita. He is a good boy. He is low-born, but he can serve you well.
I hear that tone and the words used, and it's such a great mix of a man who, whilst coming across as kind and accepting, still has a part of him that looks down upon Delita because of his upbringing. If what he said was something more along the lines of, despite the fact that he is low-born, he is still X, Y, and Z, I can see that more so line up with his actions and how we are to think of him. But I like that small slight there, that small amount of snootiness and classism that is probably so ingrained in him that he doesn't even realise it. It's small, but it added a lot for me personally. On patrol, we find part of the brigade about to kill an innocent, and upon saving the man, we learn that the marquee has been taken, and Argath was on his way to ask that the Northern Sky make a move to save the marquee's life. Before we can get into that though, let's talk leveling up. So tactics works a little differently than most RPGs, as simply winning a fight won't net you with any XP. It is the actions that you take within a fight that grant you what you need, which can become a double-edged sword. For instance, if you are too strong, or worse, just have that one OP character that can one-shot everything, then no one else on the team is going to earn any XP. Certain jobs will also just make it harder to earn as well. Take basic white mages for example. Early on, you'll have very little MP and can only learn a few basic spells, like Cure, meaning that you are only really going to pop that spell a couple of times during a fight, earning you very little XP and job points, making it slower to get stronger than, say, your tanky knight, who is moving and attacking every round. Now, depending on the fight and depending on the jobs, this XP discrepancy can really ebb and flow, and whilst I don't have that much of a problem with it as a whole, I can see it becoming cumbersome with trying to level up certain jobs.
I beg of you, Count Beowulf, lend me 100 men that I might hunt the Horsens down. Please, my lord, grant me the means to avenge my fallen friends.
Mayhap your ears fail you. I said that a squad is to be dispatched. You are not a man of Galleon. Leave her affairs to those of us who are.
But, my lord...
Do not assume to beg favors of me. Let me remind you, Argath, lest you forget your place. You are but another sword, not yet even knighted.
God, just more killer lines after killer lines. And Ben Starman, another knockout role for him. So, stuck on castle duty, we do learn more about our new saved friend here, Argath.
My own house was once respected as highly as House Beowulf, you know? At least, until my grandfather was captured during the war, after his fortress was overrun. In hopes of saving his own hide, he divulged intelligence about our forces. Positions, numbers, supply routes, whatever it took, he rendered up to the enemy. He turned traitor, thinking to buy his freedom with the lives of his friends. But his freedom scarce outlived his honor. He was not a dozen paces out of the gate when the dagger found his back, killed by some common squire, no more a knight than I.
And I just love how fleshed out these characters already are. We've just met this man, yet already I feel like we have a character with a lot of depth. And that goes the same for most of the others we have met too. Take our two brothers for example.
I hear you were decorated for your first victory, Ramza. They sing your praise from on high. You do honor to our name, my brother, and to me.
I am glad.
Oh? You would not seem it.
I am. Forgive me. Your words do me far more honor than I have done you. It has been some time, hasn't it, Zalbog?
I heard about Garland. They say you made short work of those brigands. Now you've truly the right to call yourself a Beowulf. Father would be proud.
Thank you, Lord Brother.
You certainly haven't changed. Gods forbid you show a bit of cheer on being praised.
Both are doing the same thing in these scenes. They are both praising Ramza for his first hard-fought battle, but notice how they both comment on Ramza's reaction to the praise. Dicebog comes across as more serious, more cold, yet Zalbog here is having more of a friendly little dig at his brother for not taking the compliment well. It's doing a lot already with the characters, and I really love that. Speaking of Zalbog, he cheekily hints that we should break some rules and investigate the Marquis kidnapping ourselves. When we arrive at Daughter, we see another swordsman grilling one of the brigade on the Marquis' location.
I will not ask again. Where are they?
And interestingly enough, Delita recognises the man as the commander of the Corpse Brigade, Wheatgraph. To clear up this confusion, we capture one of the brigade and interrogate him.
You kidnap men for ransom, then dare ask the difference between us?
No. No, the Marquis's kidnapping was
What?
He would never. Hold a man for ransom, such a lowly act. It goes against all we believe in.
Then who was it? Someone kidnapped the Marquis Elmdor de Limbury.
Speak. If not you, then on whom would you pin the deed?
It was Gustav.
Who is Gustav?
Gustav Margrave, Lieutenant Commander of the Dead Men.
So the Corpse Brigade was behind the kidnapping?
No! We're not like Gustav. We fight to end the aristocracy, not to become it. To be treated as equals, as the men of honor we are.
The maggots know of honor.
That's enough, Argath!
So it looks like even the Corpse Brigade is being splintered off into different groups with different goals. We make it to the desert to find the hideout and fight through to find the Marquis himself.
You've taken leave of your senses, Gustav.
Have I? What hope does your fool revolution hold? Dreams do not fill a man's stomach or make soft the packed earth on which he beds.
You see naught beyond the end of your nose. The crown strays, Gustav. It must be led back onto the path.
And you think yourself the man to do this? More fool you, Weegraf.
You have spoken your fill. Then we are done.
Weegraf!
The Marquis?
No further.
You vermin!
Stay yourself, Argath.
The Marquis is unharmed. You are free to return him to Egros.
Why release him?
The Marquis's abduction was ill done. Such craven methods serve not our ends.
I'm loving all of this already. I love how well character and character motivations are coming through. I've already had a bunch of names and groups thrown at me, and yet I feel like I know each motivation so crystal clear. Each as well feels so defined and realistic. Take our two factions of the Corpse Brigade for example. With just one scene between Gustav and Weegraf, we have two very conflicting ideologies and methods. Weegraf is very much revolutionary, but with the mantra of, if we do this with honour. Whereas with Gustav, although much more conventionally evil, still does make great points. Your revolution is going to take time, and your honour isn't going to feed those of us that are starving right now. Now, we may get chewed out by Dystag for disobeying orders, but even he has to admit what a great job we've done in finding and saving the Marquis, so permits us to lead one of the assaults on one of the final few of the Corpse Brigade's dens. We also get heavy hints of a more dubious behind the scenes plan made by the Duke and Dystag.
My apologies, Your Grace.
It was not of your doing, Dystag. In truth, it serves only to show the caliber of man we were dealing with in Gustav. A change in plans was inevitable, once the fool went and staged the kidnapping within our very borders.
Getting back to the fighting, we have more fantastic exchanges with a new name, Maludia.
How can you nobles live as you do and yet hold your head so high? We are not chattel. We are humans, no less than you. What flaw do you hold there to be in us? That we were born between a different set of walls?
Again, such great character and character motivations right away with the introduction. I just love the writing here. However, by now, there has been a fair few fights already, and I found one more complaint, and it's the speed of it all. As I said before, a game like this requires a lot more focus and a lot more careful planning and consideration, so the pace of the fights in general are a lot more slower than you might be used to in the typical RPG. However, that doesn't mean the actions themselves have to be as slow as they are. The spellcasts, the swings, the movements, it's all just so slow. And I think they knew this with this remaster, as they give us the option to speed up actions with the push of a button, which quickly becomes a must-use function for me personally. During our fight with Meludia, it seems that even without Gustav, his followers are still willing to follow his methods, as we see the kidnapping of Delita's sister and attempted kidnapping of Alma. And upon learning this news, we get this fantastic scene between Delita, Ramza and Argath.
I'd not believe a word of that fairy tale if I were you.
You call my brother a liar?
I do. I would not go out of my way to rescue some common maid.
What did you say?
I said he would be a fool to hold back an army for fear of spilling a few drops of your common blood.
Why, you?
Stop this, Delita!
I just love how much of an insufferable, punchable, slimy little worm of a villain Argath is quickly becoming. We've already seen heavy hints of this throughout, but this is truly where the mask starts slipping. Now, our army is closing in on the last of the brigade's dens, the kidnapping of Theatra, the heel turn from Argath, the plotting behind the scenes, the fracturing of a new rebellion cause and the rise. It all culminates in a final fight of the chapter, where this happens.
Back whence you came, quick as shadows, or this one's blood makes crimson snow. Do not think to try my patience. This keep packs such a store of powder as you could scarce imagine. More than enough to deliver the lot of you to the father's keeping, should your feet lack proper haste.
The order of the northern sky yields not before the braying of rogues!
Lord Brother! Argath?
Teacher!
Delita!
I'll not warn you again. Withdraw at once, or the girl dies.
This changes nothing. Argath, loose your attack.
Yes, my lord. Gods have mercy.
Delita? I'm sorry.
And we already get to take down this snivelling elitist.
I am better than this. Better than you all.
I'm sorry, Delita. What was that? The powder! Delita! We must away! Delita!
So those are my first impressions on the remastered Final Fantasy Tactics, and what a fantastic modernisation of a classic game. To me, this is what a remaster should be. Not just a pretty HD texture pack you can download on any mod site, but an actual quality of life improvement to breathe life into a classic game, to revive it for a modern audience. I loved this, and I'm super excited to continue playing. If you did enjoy this, please do like and subscribe, and check out some of my other first impression videos, like this one on the new Digimon game. If you like more long form, in-depth deep dives into some classic games, I have some of them for you too. Maybe you like this one on my all-time favourite game, Final Fantasy X. Until next time, take care.